the left of Barroso.
Oh.
And now it's Romero sitting down on his punches.
Ooh, that's going to be a knockdown.
And it is being ruled a knockdown despite him looking like a push.
6, 7, 8.
Barroso was hurt at a certain point.
Yes, he was, and he goes down for the 5th time in his career. High drama now here.
Okay. Hold on a second. Let me turn this down. I think I just messed up my video. I need to start this all over again. Pause that. That commercial was playing, so let's do it again.
With the left of Barroso.
Oh.
And now it's Romero sitting down on his punches.
Ooh, that's going to be a knockdown.
And it is being ruled a knockdown despite him looking like a push.
6, 7, 8.
Barroso was hurt at a certain point.
Yes, he was, and he goes down for the 5th time in his career. High drama now here with the left.
Okay. A lot of people have an opinion on this Rolly Romero, this damn Barroso fight, man, and Puello. Let's put some things in perspective here for those of you out there who are still sitting here a little bit, bewildered. Hey, what's going on, Victor? What happened Saturday is the reason boxing is dead. Man, let me tell you something. What happened Saturday, right, is it was a bad stoppage, okay? I got to be honest. But the guy looked like he was about to get knocked out. But it's more than just what took place in that ring, man. When you look at everything from when Puello first tested positive for clomiphene, you know what I'm saying? But you got to really peel this all the way back to understand. But what happened Saturday was kind of crazy because you had like someone who's 40 years old. Nobody was really giving him a chance against Rolly Romero because they didn't know who he was. And he was beating Rolly Romero. People need to stop watching boxing and stop supporting. I don't know if they need to stop watching it and stop supporting it, but I think there's some people who it makes it hard for someone to want to pay money on pay-per-view. I'll tell you that much, man, when you have stuff like this happening. But I just think people didn't know Barroso. Barroso put up a good fight. Rolly Romero didn't really let his hands go the way we're accustomed, but those are just changes that he decided to make after coming off a Gervonta Davis loss and actually after getting hurt in sparring. But the thing that I want to bring to the attention of anyone out here this morning who's going to jump on this live is when it comes to that WBA, I got to say they need to hold their horses and don't take it to the stupid. Now, you got to remember, this whole thing started with Alberto Puello, okay? This is why I say the secret society is real. First of all, the WBA declared that the Dominican fighter, Alberto Puello, right? I thought they stripped him because he tested positive for clomiphene. They did not strip Alberto Puello. Now, that's extremely odd to me. They made him champion in recess. Like, champion in recess is like Keith Thurman and him not coming back to the ring for all those years. You know what I'm saying? And then they make him champion in recess, and when he decides to come back, he gets to fight for his title. And this is what's so crazy about all this is because my understanding, Alberto Puello, he can come back and fight for that damn WBA title. And that is scary. And what I mean by that is, it just shows you that these damn sanctioning bodies, they do what the hell they want to do. Now, I'm going to tell you this. He was named champion in recess after he tested positive for clomiphene. Now, that's according to VADA. But the fight between Romero and Barroso is supposed to be for the vacant WBA lightweight championship, which Rolly Romero picked up. Now, as far as them allowing this to go forward, man, look, it was approved by a vote of its members by the WBA Championship Committee, which in turn indicates that Puello's, I call him El Puello Loco, Puello's recess status is exceptional, and a final decision will be made after May 17 2023, when the boxer attends a hearing with the Nevada Athletic Commission and the commission makes a decision or a VADA report indicates a negative result of the B test, which is done at the request of the boxer. Now, what that tells you is Alberto Pollo Loco, this whole thing about being champion in recess and this positive finding, let me tell you, that positive finding crap can get swept underneath the rug. And Alberto Pollo Loco can be coming back out of champion in recess and fight for his title. Now, when we just look at that alone, doesn't that seem odd to you? Doesn't that seem suspicious? Does that make sense? You understand? This man tests positive for clomiphene, all right? A banned substance. We're talking about VADA. But you're going to say, okay, we're just going to make him the champion in recess. You see my message about Puello? I've seen a couple, but yeah, I think, I don't know. I've read through a lot of messages, man. But I'm doing this to talk a little bit about Puello right now. But maybe you were saying something along the lines of something about Puello just doesn't seem right. But I can't remember. I read through a lot of messages. But my thing with Puello, Latham, it just does not make sense for what's going on. It really makes me wonder if Puello, it makes me wonder about him and this whole clomiphene thing. Because if he really tested positive for this substance, right, which he did. He tested positive for a substance. Clomiphene. It's clomiphene. I'm not making this up. But what they're saying here, right, Puello's recess status is exceptional and a final decision will be made. That means there's no final decision made on him yet. And it's going to be made after May 17th. When the boxer attends a hearing with the Nevada Athletic Commission and the commission makes a decision or a VADA report indicates a negative result of the B test. Now, this is what's so interesting about it. So Puello, of course, champion in research because of their ongoing investigation because he was going through procedures for his wife, with his wife for pregnancy. She actually did get pregnant. Let WBA know that. Okay, so what you're saying, Latham, I knew about the champion in recess, but what you're saying about Puello was going through procedures with his wife for pregnancy. She actually did get pregnant and let the WBA know that. See, I didn't know about the wife. And then Latham says they're going through investigation and he will look to appeal if proven. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's say his wife was taking clomiphene, but how does it end up in his system? You know what I'm saying? My understanding is clomiphene is something that women take to increase their fertility. It's not something that men take. And when you find, especially in combat sports, where the male has taken clomiphene, it's been mostly taken to give them an advantage to increase muscle growth and boost their testosterone levels by up to 800%. I think it was 800%. But what I will say is, what you're saying about the fact that his wife was trying to get pregnant, she is pregnant now, and maybe that played into Puello's positive finding. There may be some truth to that. Because I could see somebody who really doesn't understand clomiphene and how it works, deciding that, if this helps my wife with her fertility, maybe this will help me as well. And I could see him, maybe he took some, but I don't know. But if that's the case, we just have to wait and see what comes out. But I do think it's interesting that they want to wait to see what the commission is going to do, and they want to wait to see if they get a negative result on the B test. And I'm gonna be honest, when you come to this A test, the A sample, B sample, it's all from the same urine. He comes and he pisses in the two containers, is my understanding. And then one is the A sample, one is the B sample. So it's from the sample taken at one time. Okay, so for the B sample to come back negative, I mean, I'd be surprised if that happened. But it makes you wonder. Like when I'm looking at this, it makes me wonder, man. Maybe there was nothing ever wrong with Puello, you know, because it just doesn't make sense for him to come up with this positive finding, and now they want to have an investigation. They don't strip him to make him champion in recess, which is going to give him the opportunity to prove his innocence, then come back and fight for his belt. Something just doesn't seem right, because the narrative being pushed right now is Puello is is a dirty fighter, but I guess we got to wait and see when all the information comes out. Latham says it uses to increase testosterone in the sperm to result in a higher chance of pregnancy for the reason to get pregnant. Okay, well, I thought that was something that mostly women took, but I could see if it affects the men the same way. I didn't research that part. I just know the research I've done was really about Conor and clomiphene, but really how the effect on women. I didn't know men could take it too. But if that's true, that makes a very, very good point. Makes a very good point. Okay. And if so, then Puello and his doctors and everything else, that should help his case. But I'm not sure it'll alleviate the findings, because they're so strict when it comes to these fighters knowing what's in their system and being responsible, and before they take something, just trying to get a definitive answer on whether it's allowed or not. So when I look at it like that, I guess we just have to wait and see. But if there's truth to that and they can prove it, then Puello may be back fighting for that championship sooner than later. He said Puello actually said something about it. Yeah, I need to go out there and canvass the internet for the videos or the article where Puello was talking about it. Most of the stuff that I've come across just talking about the clomiphene, but my thing is, it just seemed very odd. Everything about it seemed odd, especially when I found out he wasn't actually stripped champion in recess. But nonetheless, as a result of all that crap going on with Puello, clomiphene, being innocent, not being innocent, the Nevada Athletic Commission, VADA, the Puello versus Romero fight, my understanding is that wasn't even supposed to be a mandatory defense anyway. But it makes you wonder, right? Rolly Romero aligned with the right people, right? He's with the right people. And sometimes you need people, man. Some people say these are people who move needles. Other people call them movers and shakers. Rolly Romero is aligned with someone in the boxing community who's a mover and a shaker. And he's aligned with Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd Mayweather, his entire career, especially after he left Bob Arum, Floyd Mayweather aligned himself with movers and shakers. And you look at how his career went. You look at the people that he fought, and you look at how he was able to kind of pick and choose and end up in certain positions just as a result of just, doing what he calls smart business. Now, Barroso was approved by the WBA Championships Committee. Now, Barroso's been in a mandatory position for a long, long time. But his management team, they didn't do him any justice. They didn't really get him the opportunities he deserved, because Barroso, he probably should have been a champion a long time ago. Some people feel after this performance with Rolly Romero and him getting robbed that Barroso probably will not get another opportunity at a title. I think because of Barroso's performance and how well he did, I think he'll get another opportunity at a big fight. It's kind of like with Isaac Pitbull Cruz when he fought Tank. That fight helped Pitbull Cruz's profile, because now everyone knows who he is. What needs to happen for Barroso is when he does get another opportunity is that he takes advantage and he knocks his opponents out. Same way Pitbull Cruz came back and knocked a couple of opponents out he's faced after Tank. But what I'm gonna pay attention to here, right, is this whole thing about Puello and being replaced for that championship bout. You know, when it comes to these champions ending up being put in a champion and recess type position. You know, there are rules for that. And the rule in particular with the WBA, it states that when a champion can't defend his title for medical, legal, or other justifiable reasons, he'll be declared inactive and the organization will choose the official title contenders. So for Puello, I think with him, he falls underneath that legal or other justifiable reasons as a result of not being able to defend his status, his title. So the justifiable reason would just be this damn investigation that's going on. But nonetheless, this is the other thing that's kind of interesting. That bout took place on May 13th, right? Now, 4 days after the bout, Puello is supposed to attend his Nevada hearing, right? He's supposed to attend his hearing. And let me tell you something. We'll see what comes out during that hearing about him and this whole clomiphene thing. But when it comes to Rolly Romero, now that he's beaten Barroso, he's got that super lightweight title. The winner's supposed to face O'Hara Davis no later than 120 days. So Rolly Romero is supposed to face O'Hara Davis no later than 120 days after May 13th. That's what seems like a lot of people don't realize. And that's what makes this interesting. Okay? Because when it comes to this guy, what's his name? O'Hara Davis can fight. And for Rolly Romero, and what a lot of people see as a fluke type performance, you know, he's going to have his hands full. O'Hara Davis is 25 wins, 2 losses. So he's not somebody who's just going to come in the ring and lay down. Okay? And a guy like O'Hara Davis, well, Rolly's got power. Rolly's got power. He can hurt you. He can knock you out. Okay? That's a fact. But what I saw him doing in the ring this weekend really reminded me of watching Anthony Joshua against Jermaine Franklin. Like, really afraid to let his hands go. Overthinking, in my opinion. But I understand, because I believe what Rolly says. He said Barroso hit extremely hard. And he had to be careful not to get knocked out, not to get hurt. And I believe that and I respect that. But I don't really like the mindset of his trainer, the guy Coach Bullitt. Because what Coach Bullitt is saying is that with Rolly Romero, he feels that Rolly can afford to lose the first half of the fight and then come on strong in the second half because of his power and his ability to end the fight with one shot. And I just don't think that's a smart way to do business. Okay? Especially coming to a fight with a guy like O'Hara Davis, who's a good boxer. Even if Puello gets an opportunity for a shot of his at his WBA title, Rolly could find himself falling behind on the cards and end up losing that belt. He could be. No, that ain't it. Okay, well you chime in and say what you think it is, Latham. But what I think could happen here is Rolly Romero be like Charles Martin after he won his title by a fluke, and then he goes on and loses it in his first defense, just like Kambosos picks up all those titles. First defense against Devin Haney, he loses them. So I just don't like what I don't like what Coach Bullitt is pushing for Rolly. Latham says he's unorthodox and awkward, but that don't even work for him. No, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'd rather see. You hear me say it all the time. Let a lion be a lion. Don't try to turn him into a pussycat. And Rolly, you agree with the later rounds, Rolly coming on strong? Yeah. Obviously, Rolly has the stamina. And he has some power, but he has the stamina, obviously, and these are things they've been working on. But I just feel when he's trying to be defense first, offense second, because a lot of times, man, offense is your defense. But you can see when he's more or less trying to get away from punches, well, he was going straight back. And he leaves himself open. Even when you find him in the exchange, when he had Barroso on the ropes, just like in that video that went viral, where Rolly got knocked out in sparring, he keeps his hands down. Around his damn knees. You know what I'm saying? He's not defensively responsible. And his chin, let me tell you, he has his chin up in the solar system somewhere. I thought Ryan Garcia was bad with not tucking his chin. Rolly Romero is much, much worse than Ryan Garcia when it comes to not tucking his chin. So at the end of the day, we're going to see what happens when it comes to Puello and his case that's pending with the Nevada Commission and the possibility of opening the B test and, alleviating all the crap that's going on with him as far as the clomiphene and saying that he was intentionally taking a banned substance to try to get an advantage of the fight against Rolly Romero. But at the end of the day, Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia, like, for those people out there who feel like, nah, Rolly and Ryan Garcia, this fight is not going to happen because Rolly has to defend against O'Hara Davis, I got to tell you, man, y'all need to stop. Y'all need to get that out your brain. Rolly and Ryan, that's the fight they're trying to make. I'm letting you know that right now. That's when you hear Rolly Romero come out and saying these things, you better believe these are conversations are already taking place. I truly believe that. Latham says, you said coach said he lose first rounds and come back with one punch of power. You said, nah, I agree. Yeah, of course, yeah. But Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia, let me tell you something. This is, I don't even want to say anything to be disrespectful to these guys, because they're two young fighters, and to me, it's not their fault. But what happened in that ring this weekend, if Rolly was fighting Ryan Garcia, I'd have to say Ryan Garcia would beat Rolly Romero. But you just don't know because Rolly, he takes that half a step back. Sometimes he leaps backwards, right? He has a lot of spring in his legs. And then he counters. But man, I just think if he's in there playing around with Ryan Garcia, Ryan Garcia may be able to get some shots off on Rolly and catch Rolly with something that really hurts him. However, I'll say this: if you watch the sparring between Rolly and Ryan, and that's only sparring, so it doesn't really matter. But it gives you a good gauge on maybe how a fight would go if they really fought with smaller gloves. At least in the clips I've seen, it looks like Rolly was giving Ryan the business. But let me tell you the uniqueness of this whole thing if these two go on to fight. Because I personally think Rolly Romero and Ryan, that's the fight they're going to try to make because of the money involved. There's no money in Rolly fighting O'Hara Davis. There's no money in Rolly fighting Alberto Puello. Okay? Nothing at all. The money is for him to Ryan Garcia. Latham says it's sad because imagine what Barrosos may have went through and now won't get another opportunity. We may never see him again. That thing about with Barroso, man, that I'm gonna be honest, man, that touched my heart, man, because him being from Venezuela and like my family from Trinidad and Tobago, and I know how many Venezuelans have migrated to Trinidad, but I know the story of a lot of them Venezuelans, and I know Barroso's story, man. And to just knowing that how many people depend on him, what he went through, losing his wife while he was getting at a weigh-in for one of his fights, to know he's never really made a lot of money in boxing, and this was his opportunity to not just change his life, but the lives of a lot of others, man. And people keep talking about how old he looked. Barroso, he got to be about 60 years old, 70 years old. That look on his face, that's what you call grief. That's what you call stress. You understand? That's what you call struggle. That's what you see in Barroso's face. So when people out there, making jokes and all that, man, I just think they should really understand the fighter and understand his background and how unfortunate it is that he may not get another big opportunity. But I truly believe the way he performed, I think he'll get another shot sooner than later. Honestly, I do. I think he will. I think a lot of people feel bad for Barroso. Because look, in that first knockdown, right, when he knocked Rolly down, he, no kidding, knocked Rolly down. That left hand was fast. He did a good job hiding that left hand. And Rolly was hurt. But when Rolly knocked him down, look, Rolly touched him. Rolly did. Rolly hit him with a couple of shots. He hurt him, but then he kind of punched and shoved, which Rolly does this all the time when he's fighting someone. If he throws that right hand, he kind of leaves it on you and pushes with it at the end. So he'll kind of hit you, then push you at the same time. And that's what he did because Rolly's strong. And he shoved a hurt Barroso's down to the ground. Right? So that's a fact. But he would have put Barroso down anyway. Barroso was hurt. But what I found odd is that the unofficial scorecard, they scored that round a 10-9. It was declared a knockdown, but they scored it a 10-9. Now the judges gave Rolly a 10-8. But this goes back to where you saw, who was that we saw fighting the other day where they gave it made it a 10-10 round. We were just watching a fight where you saw somebody a judge scored Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis. When Tank knocked Ryan down, they made that round a 10-10 round or something crazy. So again, it goes back when it comes to these judges, when it comes to boxing, man, you just don't know. But for me, I felt like the unofficial scorecard, it made me feel like he was doing that to almost not make it look like they were biased to Rolly Romero. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to that stoppage, man, and the way they stopped that fight, they should have in a fight like that, just let the guy go out on the shield, man. And Tony Weeks, he's the same one that let goddamn, what's his name? He's a cruiserweight now, Badu Jack. Remember Badu Jack had his whole face busted wide open. He had like a damn 3-inch cut on his forehead that was extremely deep and bleeding. He let that fight go on between, I think it was Marcus Brown and Badu Jack. He let that fight go on. They should have stopped that fight They should have stopped that fight at maybe the same round when he got cut. But he let that fight go on. And you're gonna come in here with a guy who's, he wasn't even hurt, man. He was buzzed, but he wasn't hurt. You know what I'm saying? He could handle himself, and he's gonna stop the fight. And I'm gonna tell you what, that's why a lot of people feel like it was corruption. They feel like Rolly Romero, surprisingly, was losing the fight. He was getting outboxed. Rolly wasn't punching, so that didn't help either. And it was a referee who, people feel like the referee just felt like, hey, someone must have given him a signal like, hey, first opportunity to stop this fight, stop it, because this isn't going the direction that we wanted. Latham says Weeks posted something like 2 hours before the fight about wrong should be forgiven. Yeah, that's crazy. But I will tell you, man, I'm always talking about the secret society, and I truly believe this right here just kind of ties into all those damn talks that I'm always having about corruption in boxing. But I do feel that Rolly Romero probably could have gotten a stoppage, but just let him get the stoppage. He was starting to catch up to Barroso. Barroso looked like he was getting a little bit tired. His punches weren't as fast, as sharp. But I will say this, he was investing to the body too. So it would have been nice to let the fight get into around, 10, 11 and kind of see what happens. But I personally think Rolly Romero would have stopped him. I think he would have stopped him. But at the end of the day, it didn't go that route. Now you got Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's the money fight. That is the big money fight, man. And when people are out here talking about it, saying the fight won't happen, let me tell you, look at all the crap that's going on in boxing right now. Look at the fights that are being made. Hell, look at the fights that are not being made. If people haven't realized yet, when it comes to boxing, these people behind the scenes, if only the fly on the wall could talk, they're gonna do what's best for them in their pockets, man. Rolando Romero, Ryan Garcia, I have no idea what they'll do when it comes to pay-per-view, but I can't see them doing, anything less than 500,000. To be honest with you, Rolando Romero, he can carry a fight. He can carry a promotion. Ryan Garcia, is not much he needs to do. But people are going to be very interested in watching Ryan Garcia and Rolando Romero, especially because, for those of you who don't know, Ryan Garcia and Eddie Reynoso, they are pretty close to coming to some kind of agreement on working together again. And let me tell you this, Ryan Garcia with Eddie Reynoso, I'm not saying Eddie Reynoso is going to turn Ryan Garcia into some amazing highlight reel to Gervonta Davis punch-out knockout artist, but all those little things that he had corrected in Ryan Garcia, that Ryan Garcia reverted back to underneath the tutelage of Joe Goosen, he's going to get that squared away. This is the thing. Eddie Reynoso watched that Ryan Garcia Tank fight. Eddie Reynoso was over there just shaking his head because the things that he had worked on with Ryan Garcia just, set it all aside. And that's what happens. It's just like if you got a math test, right, coming up, and you got a teacher, they had this huge test here in Texas. My kids have to do called a STAR test. If you got a teacher who's working with you, man, month after month, preparing you for this test at the end of the year, and that teacher disappears, you get another teacher in there who doesn't want to work with you. Well, you know what? There's some things that you're probably doing that would benefit you going into the test. You're probably going to stop if no one's making you. And now you go into the test, you're hot winging it. Curious Jorge says, I believe Ryan is going to Derek James. He's been in Dallas, Texas. Let me ask you something, Curious Jorge, Curious George, man. Ryan Garcia and Derek James, right? I'm not saying Derek James isn't a good fit, but I'm just I think with Ryan Garcia, and this is my opinion, he seems to be a kind of person who needs to be around in a certain environment with a certain kind of people. And with Ryan Garcia, just from watching him, where he seemed to be the most comfortable, the most happy, and almost like there was a void in his life that was filled as when he was there with, in my opinion, Eddie Reynoso. Now, I do think Derek James can help him. But when he was with Eddie Reynoso and with Canelo, and he had Andy Ruiz there and Frank Sanchez there, in that camp, it was, for the most part, all Spanish speaking. Frank Sanchez is Cuban, but everyone else, for the most part, majority Mexican. Ryan Garcia being Mexican-American, not being able to speak Spanish. I know it did a lot for him as far as helping with his identity. And I even remember him at the end of a fight shouting out Viva Mexico and all that. And that you saw a different kind of energy from him, a different kind of commitment level. So I think for Ryan Garcia going forward, I think that's extremely important to me. Going down there with Derek James, that's a good move too, because now he's not comfortable. He's uncomfortable. And it's all work and no play. And he's just like with Anthony Joshua being in the camp with Jamel and Earl Spence. That does a lot for Anthony Joshua to be around an undisputed champion and a unified. That would be the same thing with Ryan Garcia. He'll be there with an undisputed champion. He'll be there with a former unified and with the unified. And that would do a lot for him and his mentality. But I don't know. I'm still not so sure Derek James is the fit for everybody, especially after seeing how Anthony Joshua performed against Jermaine Franklin. And especially with the things Anthony Joshua's been saying about he's not a bruiser, he's more of a thinking man outside the ring. And inside the ring, he wants to be more of a thinking man and a boxer, not just a bruiser, someone who's big and strong coming to try and knock somebody out. So when I hear those kind of talks taking place, man, they make me feel uncomfortable. But that being said, with Ryan Garcia, I don't know who he's gonna pick, but it just sounds to me like it could. Maybe he did take a visit to the guys in Dallas, but wherever he ends up, I prefer he ends up somewhere with someone who can really help him with that defense and incorporating that right hand, because him going into a fight with Rolly Romero, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think Ryan Garcia should win that fight. But Rolly's just awkward as hell, man. You know, it's just how do you prepare for a guy like Rolly Romero? You know what I'm saying? But one thing I'll tell you about Rolly, he keeps his hands down by his damn. When he throws his shots, he winds up. I watch him even in sparring and even in the fight this weekend. I mean, he misses out on opportunities to really land cleanly because he takes that half a second to wind up his shots when the shot should have already been delivered. And that's just something where if you're going to sit there and have that style of fighting against a guy like Ryan Garcia, if Ryan Garcia is going to be there trying to pull the trigger, you're going to get caught. You know what I mean? Like you are going to get caught. I just think that's just bad medicine, man. But as far as money, man, that's what they're looking at. And it's just really unfortunate. But when we talk about the 140-pound division, this is what's interesting. And this is what we really need to understand. This is where Rolly Romero is right now. This is what Rolly Romero has done to himself. Let me show you this. We're always talking about this. Okay, Rolly Romero has put himself right up there with the likes of Josh Taylor, with the likes of Regis Prograis, Ramirez, Matias, Catterall. Okay? He's right up there now, man. Zepeda. And then he's supposed to be fighting O'Hara Davis, but we'll see what happens with that. But let's just be honest with the way he fought this past weekend. I think he gets totally tranquilized by these tough boxer punches, man. Yeah, that's right, Curious. That's right, man. CJ, the way Rolly comes in, jabs, Ryan can catch him. Ryan can definitely catch him. And I know people, let me tell you, a lot of people just want to say bad things about Ryan Garcia, man. And I just don't think that's fair. Okay, he's got some things to work on. I think he's regressed a little bit by being with Joe Goosen. But he still has the speed, even him and how he is today. He still has the speed and the ability and power to catch Rolly, because Rolly will still lunge in. That damn left hook Ryan Garcia throws is so fast. If he can just tighten it up a little bit, he will catch Rolly and he can knock Rolly out, man. And I'm just being honest with you. But then at the same time, Rolly Romero, man, he's so goddamn awkward, and he's strong and he's physical. And Ryan Garcia doesn't like getting hurt. He doesn't like getting bruised. He doesn't like his face getting damaged. And with Rolly Romero, Rolly's going to throw elbows, forearms, his shoulder. Rolly's just a physical kid, man. And that could cause Ryan Garcia to lose his focus. That's why, like you were talking about him going to Dallas, Texas, he needs to be in the camp with the type of coach, man, that can really help him to have that mental fortitude to be able to persevere through those tough times. In addition to that, man, he needs to be around people who actually know boxing. And for him to be in a camp with Derek James, he gets all of that. To be in a camp with Eddie Reynoso, he gets all that. But at the end of the day, once he gets in the ring, we're gonna have to see how much progress he's made. But coming off of a loss, the way he lost, we're talking about Ryan Garcia now. I kind of commend him for taking that fight, even though he had the rib injury. But at the same time, man, it's kind of stupid. But he knew what he could and couldn't handle in that ring. But the reality was going to come to him real quick, and he had no more options. You know what I'm saying? Normally fighters, they have options when they're in the ring. They have different layers to their game. There's levels to it. And, if the plan A isn't working, they can go to B, C, or D. Ryan Garcia only had a plan A. You know what I'm saying? He only had a plan A. And it wasn't working, and Tank was getting closer and closer with those big shots. So Ryan Garcia decided to just call it quits. And if you already had that pre-existing injury, can't really fault him for quitting in that fight. CJ says if he does come to Dallas, the type of sparring he'll get be amazing. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm out here in Texas too, man. I'm not in Dallas, but I'm in Texas. But I know he'll get some good sparring, man. And the thing about it, man, being in those sparring gyms, getting sparring, let me tell you, you go in there, man, and some of the guys you come across, you'll be wondering why those guys aren't world champions or why they didn't get some of those guys got their big breaks. They have so much talent just kind of walking around inside of gyms that just never get that big break. And good example is, Barroso this past weekend. Not many people knew about him, but I bet they know about. But the diehard boxing fans in those boxing gyms and sparring and all that, they know who he is. They know what he brings to the table. Like, that's a fact. But for Ryan Garcia, he's gonna need the sparring. He's gonna need a little bit of everything else, man. But as far as Rolly Romero beating any of these top names, I just don't see it. You know what I'm saying? Even after we come down here and we take a look at, let me make this a little bit bigger for you. And we just take a look at these names at 140. Barbosa, Paro, you know what I'm saying? Sandor Martin, who just fought Teofimo. Can Rolly Romero really get in there and beat that guy? Gary Antoine Russell. I mean, how about this? How about Sergey Lipinets, right? How about Sergey Lipinets against Rolly Romero? You tell me that Rolly Romero will beat Sergey Lipinets? Man, that's just bad medicine. But the other question is just how much money? Because they keep talking about the money fight, right? Just what's the money fight for Rolly Romero? Ryan Garcia? What about him trying to unify? Because he only wants Ryan or Tank. That makes me say, what kind of conversation is taking place for this man to keep talking about Tank Davis? Like, why would anybody at this point in time want to see Rolly against Tank? I mean, we'll watch it because we're boxing fans, but what does that do for Tank Davis' career? Okay, Rolly getting there with Tank, the way he performed, Rolly will lose. He'll get, no kidding, man, Rolly may get hurt in that fight. Tank Davis had bigger fish to fry. Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney at 135. I think people forget that Tank Davis started out fighting, in a lower weight class. So for Tank Davis to bubble up to 140 just to come there and fight Rolly for a WBA title, it's gonna need a little bit more than that to entice Tank Davis to come up. Now, if Tank can go and get him a fight at another fight at 135, Pitbull Cruz is what it sounds like they want. That would give Rolly an opportunity to fight either O'Hara Davis or, hey, maybe Ryan Garcia. But I don't know if De La Hoya will just throw Ryan Garcia in there. But nonetheless, let's say Ryan Garcia and Rolly do fight next, and Ryan Garcia beats him. He's at 140 with a title, right? Now Ryan Garcia is healthy. Tank Davis beats Pitbull Cruz, and now he goes up and rematches Ryan Garcia at 140 pounds. And now Tank Davis can get that WBA strap because it's possible. Or it could go another way. If El Pollo Loco, you think Tank KO's Pitbull? I'm going to answer that right here in 1 second. But we still got to wait and see what happens with Alberto El Pollo Loco, because he may be back and he may get an opportunity to walk straight into a title fight for his WBA strap. Do I think Tank KO's Pitbull? Man, I don't know, man. I think Pitbull's tough. Pitbull hits hard. Tank is the better overall fighter. But this is the thing. I just don't think because Pitbull's small. Pitbull gets, look, Tank's already short. Pitbull gets underneath Tank's punches. So for Tank to knock him out, I don't know. I think what you're going to see is Pitbull putting that pressure on, staying in his face, and Tank getting on his bicycle and boxing. Styles make fights. Can he KO Isaac Cruz? Of course, he can KO him. He's got the power, man. He's proved it. He's got the power. He can KO him. But Pitbull Cruz isn't a reckless fighter. But he is the kind of fighter, and even when he follows the boxer around the ring, right? The puncher around the ring. Because Pitbull's going to follow Tank around the ring and try to cut the ring off. He's not doing it recklessly. He doesn't abandon his defense, and he understands what's in front of him. He's not going to come in there and be stupid. He has a high guard, and once he traps you on the rope or he times you, he'll step with you, and he'll let his shots go. But I just think it makes no sense to me for Tank Davis to fight Pitbull Cruz. Like, when you really think about it, right? Let me pull the screen back up. It just doesn't make sense. Like, when you take a look at this right here, right? 135-pound division. Why would Tank Davis fight Pitbull Cruz? Okay? You got Devin Haney and Lomachenko. The winner of that would be the fight that I think that he'd be pushing for. Okay? If not, then what about Shakur Stevenson? I think if Devin Haney beats Lomachenko, I think the easier fight for Davis to make is Stevenson than Haney. But where's the money at? You see what I'm saying? Devin Haney's the A side. I don't care what anyone says. He's the A side, man. He's got all those damn belts. It's going to be hard for Tank to come in there and try to dictate a rehydration clause and all that other crap with Devin Haney. Devin Haney's not going to sit there and go for that. Even if Devin Haney doesn't say anything, you know his dad's going to say something. His dad's always out there ranting and raving. But then you look at Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz is a real threat. But even Pitbull Cruz is trying to be smart about his career too, man. That's why he didn't want to fight Shakur Stevenson. Everybody's trying to be strategic, get the most money for the lowest threat. But Tank and Pitbull Cruz, I think he could KO him. I don't know if he would, but I know he has the power to. But I don't know what's gonna happen, man. I don't. But I can't understand. They're trying to say it's like Mayweather, when Mayweather fought Castillo in the first fight. Let me tell you something. Tank Davis and Pitbull Cruz, that first fight, that shit's nothing like Mayweather and Castillo in their first fight. You can't even compare that, okay? Aside from one was doing more boxing, the other one was doing more stalking. Davis, man, he just totally outboxed Cruz easy. Mayweather was in super tough with Castillo. So that did warrant a rematch because that's how close that fight was. This fight wasn't close. I don't get it. I don't understand. But supposedly Tank wants to come and any fight he gets in that's close, he wants to come and prove to the fans that he's the better fighter. The fight wasn't close, and that's how they're approaching it. And this is what I heard Tank Davis's trainer say. But what I'll say is this. They can say what they want. But what they really should be pushing for, because, they have a lot of push for Shakur Stevenson. And what surprises me that a lot of people feel, I hear more people saying Shakur Stevenson will beat Tank Davis than Tank Davis will beat Shakur Stevenson. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was surprised to hear that. I mean, for the people who I've talked to and the different articles I've read and out there on the social media websites, I'd say like 80% of the people, when they talk about Davis and Stevenson, they pick Stevenson to beat Davis. And it could be, CJ, like you said, where you talk about being technical, because you felt like it was more technical Floyd and Maidana. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that about Tank and Pitbull Cruz. Absolutely. It was definitely more Floyd, Maidana. Absolutely. Or even Floyd, Miguel Cotto. But even with when Floyd fought Cotto, yeah, Floyd beat him. Cotto landed a couple good shots on the ropes, bloodied up Floyd Mayweather's nose, but yeah, I agree between Maidana and Cotto. No doubt about that, man. But Stevenson, it's so much politics going to get involved. Because you got to understand with Bob Arum, Devin Haney's probably not going to continue fighting over there on that platform. Okay? He's got Keyshawn Davis he's trying to grow. And you got Stevenson in that same division. As much as Bob Arum wants to try to keep those belts at the 135-pound division underneath the top rank umbrella, Bob Arum is probably not going to be able to do it if Devin Haney beats Lomachenko. Devin Haney is probably going to go on and look to do something different, and he may go back over there with Eddie Hearn. But one thing I'll say about Eddie Hearn's not stupid. Now, if you guys aren't up on this, I did a video about it. Eddie Hearn and Canelo. It looks like Eddie Hearn may be stepping away from Canelo, or Canelo may step away from Eddie Hearn, because those numbers, Canelo, when it comes to pay-per-view, he's not putting up those big numbers anymore. Okay, he's just not. And I don't blame Canelo. I just think it's the same thing that all these fighters suffer from, man. Unless you have the right dance partner in front of you, boxing fans, they're just not going to put the money up anymore, especially where everybody got this damn, what's this shit with the fire stick? Come on, man. Nobody's going to sit here. Nobody wants to pay that kind of money. And I get it. If you love boxing, support your fighters. But come on, man. Everybody looking for something free, and they have a way to get it. So it is what it is. CJ says, Tank would mess around and put a rehydration clause on Stevenson. He's a big boy. Yeah. Stevenson, let me tell you, this is what's funny. Stevenson, Haney, and even Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia, they've all talked about probably finishing their careers at 154 or 160 pounds. That's what they've talked about. So what that tells me is these guys are cutting down to a weight that really they should not be at. But they do it for that moment in time just to give themselves an advantage and the quote-unquote to be a weight bully. Okay? But I'm telling you right now, man, Stevenson, I think the more intriguing matchup to me stylistically is Stevenson and Devin Haney. That to me is a fight. That's the most interesting. Tank and Shakur Stevenson, it kind of, that's like because Tank can box too, but I'd be sitting on the edge of my seat just waiting for Tank to touch him. And I do believe when Tank says these guys know what happens when we spar. Because Tank has sparred all these guys with 16-ounce gloves on. And Tank doesn't say a lot. He just says they know what happened. Now, his trainers talk about it. And from my understanding, he's got the best of Stevenson. He's got the best of Devin Haney. Now, that's my understanding. But then again, fighting is totally different. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the rehydration clause, that shit is horrible. Did y'all see that damn spreadsheet that got created about Canelo Alvarez and how many opponents he fought, where he had to put rehydration clauses in the contract and all this craziness, man? You know what I'm saying? These guys there's no way in the world these guys really stood a chance because he melts them down and then he doesn't let them rehydrate to where they feel 100%. It's like with Tank Davis. No one knew that Tank Davis had a rehydration clause in the contract when he fought Mario Barrios. Nobody knew that until Barrios came out and said it like 2 weeks ago. Even I was sitting here, kind of befuddled by all that. Like, you want to give these fighters credit for being great fighters, which they are. But, man, it's kind of hard for me to come and say Tank is... It's hard for me to put Tank and these other fighters who are winning fights with rehydration clauses and contracts, to put them in the same conversation with a Sugar Ray Leonard, with a Roberto Duran, with the damn Tommy Hearns, Hagler, even with the Oscar De La Hoya, Ike Corte, Felix Trinidad, Shane Mosley. I don't remember any of that shit taking place back then, man. There was no goddamn rehydration clauses. No, you agree to a weight. The guy makes that weight for a moment in time, and then you go and you fight. And if the guy comes in the ring at 300 pounds, well, you just have to go fight him. All this rehydration clause stuff, man, is out of control. And I get it, being the A side. I don't have any issue with a guy like what Tyson Fury does. I'm the A side. I'm telling you what I'm going to give you, and Andy Ruiz. You're going to get $2 million. You don't worry about what I'm making, even though Tyson Fury going to make $40 million. I agree. I understand that, and I don't have too much of an issue with that. Because that's what happened with Tyson Fury and Andy Ruiz, man. Andy Ruiz wanted like $10, $13, $15 million or some shit to fight Tyson Fury. And Tyson Fury's like, get out of here. So Andy Ruiz missed an opportunity to fight. This shit just happened like a week ago. What I'm telling you is a fact. Some dumb Andy Ruiz just stupid. Talk about taking it to the stupid. He doesn't deserve no goddamn 10 or 15, $13 million. He should have took the 3 to 5 million that Fury was going to give him, fought for the WBC belt, would have got some ring rust off him, got $5 million in his pocket, and would have been good to go. Instead, he sits here with nothing. So I agree with that. But the thing about the weight, I don't quite agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be honest with you. I never fought as a professional, but I did a lot of sparring. I've had amateur fights. I've also sparred and trained and fought in smokers. And let me tell you something. I never thought about that, man. You know, I remember going into spar. I think I was weighing like 180 at the time. This guy was like 230, something like that. He was like 6'4". He was a big boy, man. And I just looked and I remember thinking, wow, that MF is big. You know what I mean? But shit, that's about as far as it went. And I knew to be careful, you know, especially the first and second round. But man, I was getting my shots off, so it wasn't much to worry about. But I think it's more of the fighters' teams than maybe the fighters that are just trying to give them any advantage possible. So this is the question, right? Having an undefeated record, does that matter more than going into a fight, although you lose, but you put up a valiant effort and you fight your ass off? It will make it a competitive fight. Which one boosts your profile? Which one helps to boost your stock? Just having an undefeated record, but really going out here and not fighting any real threats, or having a record of maybe like 20 wins, 6 losses, but in those 6 losses, you fought killers and you made it competitive. Good example, Gabe Rosado. He's retired now. People wonder, how come is Gabe Rosado still getting fights, making, you know, decent money? Gabe Rosado made a lot of money from the sport of boxing. For a guy like him with his record, you wouldn't have thought that he would have made close to like, you know, I don't know, 10 or $15 million, right? You wouldn't have thought that. But look at how often he was fighting, look at who he was fighting, and look at the performances that he put on. So Gabe Rosado, although he lost in a loss, it was a win for him. And he doesn't have an undefeated record. And he was way more active than most of these guys with these undefeated records, man. So people blame Floyd Mayweather. It's not Floyd Mayweather's fault that he retired undefeated. It's not Joe Cal. If you're going to do that, then blame Joe Calzaghe. You know what I'm saying? Blame Andre Ward for retiring undefeated. And there are other fighters that retired undefeated. They're not as well known as those names I just rattled off. But that's what I would say. It's not Floyd Mayweather's fault. Floyd Mayweather, when he was coming up, he fought everybody. You go sit there and pull up and look at his damn profile on BoxRec and look at all those names on the Floyd Mayweather profile. It's absolutely amazing. But that being said, going forward, Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia, that's the fight where the money's at, man. Even a fight against Tank. I don't think the money's going to quite be there for Tank and Rolly, because I don't think many people will be interested in it, because it's kind of old to them. But what's new and what will be intriguing is seeing, you know, Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia get there and mix it up. You know what I'm saying? And I think that would be a good fight. But that being said, man, I just think the WBA needs to hold their horses and take it to the stupid, and stop taking it to the stupid. Because when I initially looked at all this, I'm going to tell you exactly what I thought when I was watching the fight between Rolly and Barrosos this weekend. I'm going to tell you exactly what I thought. I said there was nothing ever wrong with Puello. This was all something staged to move Puello out the way, to put Rolly in, to get him an easy win coming off of that Tank defeat against an old Barroso. I think Barroso may have gone off script a little bit. It didn't do as he was do as told, and as a result, somebody gave the goddamn secret society signal to Tony Weeks, like, hey, if Rolly gets him hurt, or there's a foul or anything, any way you could justify stopping this fight, stop it, because Rolly is about to lose. And if you look at those scorecards, Rolly was about to lose that damn fight. And then Tony Weeks did what he had to do. Then I said, okay, So they just came out here, man. I got to throw the bullshit flag on this one. They gave Rolly the win. Now he's calling out Ryan Garcia. I was like, that is horrible. So now I'm saying, okay, they're trying to make the big money fight with Rolly and Ryan. And they know Ryan will probably beat Rolly Romero. Right? I'm just being honest with you. I think he could beat him. And there was all that talked about Ryan Garcia signing with Floyd Mayweather's team. Okay? Like, those conversations are very real conversations. Will it happen? I don't know. De La Hoya is not trying to let go of his flagship fighter. You know what I'm saying? Plus, you remember Mayweather Promotions and Al Heyman and Ellaby, they did that cease and desist letter, and they sent it over to Eddie Hearn because Eddie Hearn was trying to lure Tank Davis. Now, I'm gonna finish my thought, right? But if Mayweather was able to get Ryan Garcia over, why would they care if Rolly Romero had the belt? Who's a bigger star? Ryan Garcia is. Who's a bigger star with a damn title? It'd be Ryan Garcia. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, they're trying to set this crap up to, one, make a whole lot of money for these fighters and themselves, but ultimately for Ryan Garcia to somehow end up over on their platform as a champion. Now, back on what I was saying about the cease and desist with Eddie Hearn. You remember Eddie Hearn was trying to get Tank Davis over the Matchroom. And that's why I said Mayweather Promotions will be careful about messing with Ryan Garcia while he's still signed to Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy, because he can get sued. But Eddie Hearn was traveling around the world. Now, in case y'all didn't know this, what I'm about to tell you is a fact, man. Eddie Hearn had a goddamn a briefcase. He had a briefcase full of money. And Eddie Hearn was catching these fighters, right? They call it the mystery briefcase. I did a video on this. He was catching fighters and having conversations with them. This is Ellaby talking about this, and offering these guys, this huge amounts of money, in order to try to lure them over to Matchroom. Now that's hilarious. That's hilarious, but I call it the mystery briefcase. So nonetheless, man, we'll see what happens. But that's initially what I thought, and a lot of people are pissed off. But I'm gonna tell you this: although that fight could have continued, that wasn't the worst stoppage I've ever seen. I've seen worse stoppages, man. That was not the worst stoppage I've ever seen. I think Rolly Romero, especially in that last exchange, Rolly Romero was exploding with his legs, because that's how he fights. He's got bounce in his legs. And let me tell you, he was one shot away from really hurting Barroso, because Barroso was tired and he was hurt. Barroso's nonverbals are like Miguel Cotto. He really doesn't show you that he's hurt. Like this, he's expressionless. So that's the reason why when it came to Barroso and people watching the fight, it's hard to tell if he's hurt or not. You can look at him, the way his body's reacting, see he's tired. But he's not a guy like Conor McGregor gets hurt. He's all over the place and tongue hanging out his mouth. Now, Barroso, you can't tell, but I do think Rolly Romero was one hard shot away from really hurting Barroso, man, because Rolly was trying to kill him. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Pretty comical to me. But Ryan Garcia and Rolly, I mean, hey, I'm not surprised, man, if they make it. I just think it doesn't matter if they fight Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero when it comes to both of those guys, right? This is the conversation we need to be having. When it comes to Ryan and Rolly, which one of those guys will beat Josh Taylor? Josh Taylor probably going up to 147 anyway to maybe fight Terrence Crawford at some point. But which one of those guys, Rolly or Ryan, beats Regis Prograis? All right? Rolly or Ryan, which one of those guys beats Sabriel Matias? Right? We don't even need to go on anymore about that. Let's just be real. Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero, I don't think they beat any of these elite 140 pounders. Teofimo Lopez, yeah, I think they clipped Teofimo. But some of these other guys, they need to leave them alone. Leave them alone. I just don't think they stand a chance against them. So they might as well fight each other 2 and 3 times and make their money. people talking about Tank Davis going up to 140 and fighting, man. Tank is no kidding, 135 pounder, man. And he's a smaller guy who's coming up in weight. So people need to keep that in mind as well when you talk about Tank Davis and as far as him bubbling up to 140, 147. Now he's a smaller guy who's fighting at 135. So him going up to another weight division, like to stay at 140, I don't think so. I think he'll plateau, kind of like Adrian Broner did. Remember, Adrian Broner's coming up from 130. And you saw what happened. 130, he did good. 135, he did good. 140, he did good. 147, he peaked. He just couldn't damage anybody at 147. I saw a comment the other day where it said Adrian Broner sucked. He couldn't hurt anybody at 147. Adrian Broner was a failure. And I'm like, yo, why would you say that? And then before I had to cool down, and I realized these are people who don't know shit about. I hate to talk like that because it's so cliche, but really don't know shit about boxing. Adrian Broner just peaked, man. It's like De La Hoya losing to Bernard Hopkins. Now De La Hoya, he was a bum. He was garbage. He was trash. What about what De La Hoya did at 130 pounds, 135 pounds, 140, 147, 154? The man bubbles all the way up to a weight division he probably shouldn't have been at. So fighters can peak. Fighters can plateau. And Adrian Broner, to me, he peaked at 147. He just not strong. He's strong, but those guys are bigger and stronger. You figure you got a guy coming up from 130. You got these guys coming down from 200 pounds, 190 to 147. That's a big difference, man. Okay, it's a big difference in weight, especially when they rehydrate. And so the size disparity, it matters. Okay, so I don't think that's fair to say. But for Tank Davis, doesn't matter what they say about Tank's knocking out cruiserweights, Tank Davis knocking out heavyweights. I believe he can. But to come into a fight, Tank, what, 5'5" or some shit like that? Don't get me wrong, he a bad boy, he's vicious, but he just not going to walk in the ring with a 168-pounder, 175-pounder and beat him. I mean, he's just not going to do it, man. All that height matters, reach matters, all that stuff matters in boxing, okay? It's just, come on, man, let's not get carried away. Let's have some sense about what we're talking about here. With that being said, man, before I jump off here, is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? If there's anything you want to talk about, go ahead and throw it at me. We can do a wrap up, or I can answer any questions y'all want me to answer. Oh, JD, what's going on? He says Ryan will get knocked out by Sue Brielle. Ryan keeps his chin up and hands down. Yeah, I agree with you, JD, man. We were just talking about this, where I said Ryan Garcia, his chin, right? He keeps his chin up in the clouds. Rolly Romero's chin is up in the goddamn solar system. You know, Rolly Romero, he has a worse habit as far as not tucking his chin than Ryan Garcia. And Ryan Garcia is really bad. But yeah, I agree with you, JD. Ryan Garcia would definitely get tranquilized messing around with Sue Brielle Matias, man. I think Ryan gets tranquilized by Regis Prograis, all those guys at 140. All of them, man. You can't come into a fight with these guys and not know how to tuck your damn chin. You know, someone's going to catch up to you. And if you're fighting these hard hitters, you're going to be in trouble. Let's talk about Devin versus Loma. What's your take and breakdown? I'm going to tell you, Devin and Loma, I paid attention to it. I think Devin is younger, longer, more active, maybe stronger. I think if Devin can control the real estate and fight at a mid-range to long range on the outside, I think Devin, if he fights simple, Ike Corte type fight, you know what I'm saying? Jab, it just makes it easy. He wins. The problem is, I was watching Lomachenko. Man, Lomachenko can get very low. He still has fast feet. He has fast hands. He doesn't have his reach. He's at a huge reach at disadvantage. But I think if Devin Haney isn't allowed to do all that clinching, I think that one causes a problem for Devin Haney, because a lot of Devin Haney's game is the clinch. But I'm gonna tell you this: Devin Haney and his dad had already gone on record. So basically, I think it's like a toss-up fight, and I really do. I think it's 50-50. But Devin Haney and his dad are already talking about Lomachenko being a dirty fighter. Now, I went and watched several highlights of Lomachenko. And I said, they got to be talking about him as far as fighting on the inside. Then I saw the video where they were talking about it. So I looked at Lomachenko. Let me tell you something. You can't just come and think you're going to wrap up Lomachenko. Lomachenko will he will headbutt you. He will put his forearm in your face. He'll elbow you. He'll punch out the clinch. Step around you and punch and hit. He's in your blind spots. You can't see him. So they should be concerned. And you know what? Clinching, it's illegal, but it's part of boxing. Everybody does it. Most people do it. But don't come in there thinking you're going to be able to clinch Lomachenko, who's already the much shorter fighter, who's going to be able to get underneath you and out of you. I think if Lomachenko catches Devin, I think it's an uppercut. I do. I think it's an uppercut. That 400 fights that the Lomachenko had and only one loss as an amateur, and the things he's able to do, Devin's never faced that. JD says, I can't understand how Ryan keeps his chin up. CL had to keep a ball under my chin after 3 weeks in the gym. He's a boxer his whole life and lacks fundamentals. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you 100%. But when it comes to Devin and Lomachenko, man, since we're talking about fundamentals, those things that Lomachenko, when he was in his prime, he's still in his prime. He's not an old man. But the stuff that we got to see him do in the ring against fighters, I can't see him not doing that against Devin Haney at some point in the fight. Put it to you this way, right? When have we not seen Lomachenko at some point in the fight decide to change the momentum? And when he does, he does it with those angles, quick hands, quick feet, and he just starts to overwhelm opponents. We get it. He lost to Salido. We know that was a horribly judged fight. That was corruption at its finest. We talk about the secret society. That was the worst. Then he lost to Teofimo. He had an injury. He had something wrong. But you saw the second half of that fight. He had his way with Teo. But Teo was firing back. But he had his way with Teofimo for the most part. You saw him come out now after the whole shit with the Ukrainian war, and he fought Jermaine Ortiz. You look at what Lomachenko, there was a hard fight on him, but he was knocking off ring rust and everything like that. But then once he decided, okay, I need to turn up the heat in here, and he got his groove, you saw what happened in that fight. And Ortiz, in my opinion, and to me, Ortiz will beat Devin Haney. But again, styles make fights. So I just think the jab, of course, we all know this. The jab is extremely important for Devin Haney. Devin Haney doesn't even really have a check hook or a left hook. And then Devin Haney's right hand, he can throw it straight. He can loop it. He can bring it over the top. But I think Devin Haney is going to get frustrated at some point in that fight. I think early in the fight when he sees that Lomachenko, one, can slip those shots, close the distance really quickly, and now he's in your face and you're getting hit. And I think Devin Haney's going to find himself frustrated because he's going to be up against something that he's never faced. We got to be real about this. Devin Haney fought Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz is not Lomachenko. Devin Haney fighting Linares. Linares isn't Lomachenko. Devin Haney fighting Kambosos twice. That's not going to get you ready for Lomachenko. But the fact is Devin Haney has been active. Lomachenko, not so much. But he did come back, have a tough fight, which I think is what he needed after coming back from the war and getting ready to go into a fight like this with Devin Haney. Now he has an opportunity to fight for undisputed, all the belts. And I think we got to look at the motivation too. Okay, Devin Haney can fight. And I part of me feels Devin Haney can edge it out, right? But when I look at what's motivating these guys, Lomachenko, man, is fighting. What's he fighting for? Okay, first of all, Devin Haney and his dad keep saying Lomachenko was ducking him and he was afraid to fight him. We don't like him. It's personal. I want to hurt him and retire him because he made me wait 4 or 5 years for this opportunity, which is all a bunch of crap, okay? But you got Lomachenko here like, I chose not to fight Devin Haney because there's more money in these other fighters. And he's right. That's what fighters do. It's a business, right? But then Lomachenko, hey, I put it to you this way. What I'm telling you right now is a fact. Lomachenko is the one who was supposed to fight Kambosos. You know, we all realize that, right? He turned down that opportunity to fight Kambosos for those titles because he chose to go home and support the war effort in Ukraine. Devin Haney, no one would be talking about Devin Haney right now had Lomachenko went and fought George Kambosos. Yeah, I agree with you, Curious George or CJ. Loma would have been horrible. It would have been horrible. But right now, nobody would be talking about Devin Haney. No way. Because Lomachenko would have beat Kambosos. I think we can all agree on that. Lomachenko would have beat Kambosos. He would have beat him down, man. So Devin Haney, hey, it's not his fault that he got the opportunity to fight Kambosos. He did what he was supposed to do. Go fight him, get the win, pick up the titles. But I just think right now, Devin Haney's never really faced, if they're being real with themselves, they never faced anything like Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? And has Lomachenko faced anything like Devin Haney? I'd have to say he has. You don't have 400 amateur fights and haven't come across that style, you know, and only one loss. You don't come as a professional, although he has like 17 wins and 2 losses. But you can't come down and tell me that him as a professional, that he's going to have something to really worry about with Devin Haney. JD says, Loma can't sleep on the early rounds of this fight. Can't let Dev get the early rounds because Dev is good at leading the fight. Yeah, absolutely. If Devin Haney keeps this fight simple with that jab, that little half a step back, dropping that right hand counter when you try to come in. If Devin Haney can do it, that's very, very simple. If he can do those things, especially and get that early lead, because Devin Haney's good for getting an early lead, like you said, it could be a bit of an issue. But I don't think Loma's gonna. I guess we gotta wait and see. But I can't see him making those mistakes he made against Teofimo Lopez, and I can't see him making that same mistake he made against Salido by really not putting his foot on the gas and trying to let his hands go. You're right. Loma got to cut angles with the combinations. Yep. Yeah. Hey, people. Let me tell you something, man. Lomachenko, I was watching his highlights the other night, just 2 nights ago, and that's yeah, absolutely, CJ. The motivation is different. What's Haney fighting? What's Haney's motivation? You know, what's Haney's motivation? And I'm not saying his motivation doesn't matter. But Lomachenko's motivation is totally different. People are saying I'm old. People are disrespecting me because I left to go fight for my country. I did something which is probably the bravest thing any man can do, to want to go out here and fight in a war and possibly die. But they're going to call me a coward because I didn't fight Kambosos. Now they're going to call me a coward because they're saying I didn't want to fight Devin Haney. Those are some harsh words, man. So Lomachenko is taking this fight serious. So he's got a lot more to fight for. Could you imagine all the money that Lomachenko's made? Where do y'all think he invested his money? In real estate and everything else, businesses. He invested all that in Ukraine, man. What happened to all of his investments? His money. You know how much money this man lost out there? How much money Alexander Usyk lost as a result of this war? The Klitschko's lost as a result of this war? So you think Lomachenko is going to sit here, man, and come in the ring and not use this fight as fuel to, even if he's in training camp and if he ever had a day where he doesn't want to train, which I doubt it. You think he's going to sit there, man, and not come in here, like you say, CJ, and be ready to go all out in this fight? JD says Loma's footwork is the best I've ever seen. That stuff that Lomachenko does in the ring is absolutely amazing, man. You know who else had pretty good footwork too was Emmanuel Augustus. He was crazy, but Emmanuel Augustus too. But what Lomachenko's able to do, it's absolutely amazing. Amazing. I'm telling you, if you just watch some of his, you can just sit back and watch a fight, any fight. I was watching the Cormier fight, and that won the Puerto Rican fighter he was fighting, and I saw how he was able to step out on an angle and punch in combination, stepping with the opponent, man. It was crazy. Crazy how he was able to do that. Curious George says, this fight is a Jason Statham versus Wesley Snipes. Yeah, no doubt about that, man. No doubt about that. A lot of people would agree with you on that, man. They really would. But I'll say this, too. The other thing about who I think is going to win this fight, it has nothing to do with my opinion on who has a better skill set, who has more power, who has a better ring IQ. When Bob Arum comes out and tells the world that basically we'd all be stupid to bet on Devin Haney over Lomachenko, that is crazy. You got the promoter of the fight, right? The promoter of the fight telling the world who they should bet on. So what does that tell you? What does that lead you to believe? That what? That they're going to make sure if this fight is somewhat close, even if it's not somewhat close, Lomachenko is going to get the victory. He's going to get the victory, man. I'll be honest with you. Isn't that a conflict of interest? That you're a promoter for two fighters, right? The same two fighters. You're promoting both fighters. And you're going to come out and tell the whole world, don't bet on one. You'll lose a lot of money. You need to bet on the other one. That's crazy. And for you, JD, yeah, I know Loma did a lot of the different type of ballet dance and some other type of dancing out there in the Ukraine when he was a kid, and his dad did that, and they said they believe that he did it intentionally to help him with his footwork as well. Some kind of professional dancing he was doing. But yeah, I'm aware of that, man. I'm aware of that, JD. But for me, man, I think Devin Haney has to knock him out to win. I do. I just don't think he's gonna. I don't think Devin can just come out there and do a Bivol Canelo type performance, where you just win. So it's so one-sided that it forces the judges and the secret society to say, you know what, shit, if we don't give him this win, they're gonna know it was rigged. So just give him the win and let's hope for a rematch. I don't think it's gonna matter in this case, because I don't think Devin Haney's gonna be able to beat Lomachenko so convincingly. I saw Zab Judah do an interview where Zab Judah was talking about Devin Haney's bringing D's into the fight, and he was showing his fist. He's gonna let D's do the talking. Devin Haney's coming in there to inflict damage, to do damage, and I'm like, since when has Devin Haney done damage, inflicted damage, come in the ring and knock somebody out, especially at the level he's fighting at right now? They're showing the clips of him hitting the heavy bag and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, he looks strong, he looks good, and I don't think Lomachenko can just walk through him. But I don't think Devin Haney walks through Lomachenko either. I mean, it's really a competitive fight, but we're going to see, because there's no one that Devin Haney can spar with that can help prepare him for what Lomachenko is going to bring into the ring. Not at all. And I'm telling you right now, that clinching thing, I'm willing to bet anyone on here $20 that Bob Arum, because the reason why I feel that Bob Arum is biased to Lomachenko is because he's kissed the man on the cheek, hugged him, kissed him on the cheek. When have you seen a promoter kiss a goddamn fighter in the face? And how he talk about he loves him and they like family. I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on here with Bob Arum and Lomachenko? You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Skull Season? It's like, what the hell is going on with Bob Arum and Lomachenko, man? You come out here and kiss him on the cheek. Man, let me tell you, that's why I feel Bob Arum, there's no way in the world he's going to allow what's his name to lose that fight at all. Facts, bro. Great show. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Curious George, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. Anytime I get a donation, it means a lot to me. I'm not used to really getting donations on this channel, man. But when it does happen, it means a lot to me. So thank you so much. But who's the bigger fighter? If let's say Lomachenko wins, what do you think happens to the trajectory of Lomachenko's career? He's got the war effort. You're right. Yeah, man. He's coming out of the war. He's undisputed now. His story, everyone's gonna buy into his story. He's gonna be on talk shows, crossover appeal. He may be on cereal boxes. He may be on sports drinks, the labels of sports drinks. It's gonna be international news if Lomachenko beats Devin Haney, because there's a lot to work with there. If Devin Haney beats Lomachenko, what happens? Devin Haney's not going on no damn cereal box. Devin Haney's not going on no damn label for no damn sports drink. Nobody inviting him to no damn talk shows. They may have him. It's all about marketing. Yeah, it's about marketing, man. You know what I'm saying? That's 100%. I'm not saying that to be negative. What I'm telling you is, I wish these fighters understood the importance of branding. And Devin Haney is going down the wrong path. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. Look at what's his name? Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner should be a billionaire. Like, no kidding. Adrian Broner. I've talked about this before, man. And it's frustrating for me. Adrian Broner should be a billionaire. That fella could fight. He had a nice personality. He had a whole lot of, I'm going to just go ahead and say it, a lot of swag. And then he wasn't afraid to be himself. But everything that a promoter wanted in a guy like Adrian Broner, they had it. The downside was he was being too much of himself and being too real, because if you're out there representing Showtime or HBO at the time, or you're representing Al Heyman or De La Hoya or Top Rank, you're representing their brand, not just yours. And how many people, even us as we're talking here, how many of you want to have someone who you're getting behind, and when they get out here to social media, they're using all that foul language. They're out here getting arrested. They're out here doing a bunch of crap. Out here getting drunk. Nobody wants, no matter how much potential you have, nobody wants that associated with their brand. And that hurt Adrian Broner. And the reason why I'm talking about that is because when I look at Lomachenko and I look at Devin Haney, I haven't seen Lomachenko do or say anything on social media. Yeah, hell yeah, skull season. Floyd tried. He tried, but he ended up long handle spooning Adrian Broner. And that's Adrian Broner's fault, right? But when you look at right now, this is what I'm talking about it, because the writing's on the wall, man. You look at Lomachenko. What has he done or said on social media? First of all, he doesn't have much of a presence on social media. To make you say no promoter, no business, or no large entity is going to want to put money behind a guy like Lomachenko, because they don't feel like that's the kind of person they want representing their brand. There's nothing that I'm aware of. There's only one person that I heard say something about Lomachenko, which I thought they had just totally took it to the stupid, was Anthony Joshua, when he tried to fight Lomachenko at the end of the second Usyk fight, because Lomachenko, with his limited English, was trying to give Anthony Joshua, saying, man, you're really strong. And Anthony Joshua took it personal, like he was saying, because Anthony Joshua's parents are African, he was saying that, oh, you're just saying I'm strong because I'm African, but you're telling me I don't have skills. And he just wanted to kill Lomachenko. And Lomachenko, nobody's even thinking along those lines, but Anthony Joshua took it personal, because he says, they say football out there, we say soccer in America, in other parts of the country, say football too. He felt like when it comes to the African footballers, they don't get credit for their skill. They just get credit for their athleticism. And he felt like that's what Lomachenko was saying, which was all bullshit. But at the end of the day, that's the only time I've heard anything negative about Lomachenko. And that shit carries no weight. Now, Devin Haney is a whole nother ball of wax. Curious George says, Steven Espinoza said this on the area of social media. Devin Haney has been on these YouTube podcasts, and I feel like he knows he is looking for a way to get out there and to get the recognition he wants. Yeah, Devin Haney, so let's say his plan of action, he has a plan of action, but it needs to be tweaked. His approach to marketing himself needs to be tweaked. This is my problem with Devin Haney. Now remember, I'm retired, man. I did 25 years in the Air Force, right? And this is why I talk about this stuff, and that's why it hits home. Let me tell you, man, when I first joined the military, I still had a lot of rough edges, and I had to make some refinements. Do you guys understand what I'm telling you? You have to make refinements. I went in and enlisted, right? You can't just come off the street, go into the military, and think you're just going to continue with whatever, all the slang you were using, being a hothead if you were a hothead, is thinking you can do what you want to do because you want to keep it real. That shit is dumb. Recipe for disaster, okay? Yeah, you're welcome, Skull Season. But what I'm going to tell you is I had to make some refinements. After about 10 years in, I was like, okay, I had already started tweaking some things, but I was like, what are these people asking me to do? And then I said, okay. And I found a way to kind of meet them halfway, where I was able to tweak the necessary things to where we talk about being professional, right? And wanting to represent someone's brand. To where now I went from being a guy who wasn't getting recognized, wasn't getting awards, to a guy who was, man, from the 10th year in to the 25th year in, man, I never stopped getting awards, man. I never stopped getting promoted, getting recognized, I had a very successful career. But if I would have never made those changes, man, it wouldn't have happened. I'm talking about attitude is everything. Being able to communicate effectively, written and verbal. You know what I'm saying? And just having the discipline to do what I really didn't want. Mike Tyson said this shit the best. To do something you don't want to do like you love it. And then just being responsible. I call that playing your cards right. Once I was able to get those things together, the CARD, communication, attitude, being responsible and disciplined, man, sky was the limit. So when I watched Devin Haney, I'm like, he ain't playing his cards right. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't play his cards right. JD says Dev looks the part. He doesn't drink, make a fool of himself, squeaky clean image. He's a wheelless boxing kind of guy, but he's not that popular. To a certain extent, JD, but this is what I was going to get on about Devin Haney. When I watched Devin Haney, I know he probably won't listen to me, but if so, I would like to get a hold of him and have a conversation and give him that talk like what we just talked about. I put it in a nutshell. When I see Devin Haney out here talking about N-word this, N-word that, calling people, bitch ass, N-word this, MF for this, and y'all like on Twitter. I don't know how often y'all are on Twitter. I'm watching that and I'm like, my man, what are you doing? Then he comes back, and I'm not judging him. I'm just telling you, I'm watching that and I'm like, man, he needs someone to get a hold of him and talk to him about making some refinements, right? And then I'm like, you're getting me coming here talking about religion. I mean, in one post, you're saying something real crazy, a bunch of harsh profanity, right? And then the next post, you're talking about God. And let me tell you something. No, it's not. JD says, I'm not American, so thanking you for your service would be strange, but much respect to you for your service. No, man, I appreciate it. You don't have to be American, man. when you recognize that people just want to go out here and trying to do the best for their families. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if it's military, a guy selling newspapers, somebody out here working in cybersecurity, man. Once people out here doing something positive, we got to support that. You know what I'm saying? But coming back to Devin Haney, I think that hurts his profile. And I think when you look at that from even Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, even a Showtime, even a Golden Boy. Now forget those guys. What about these guys who want to endorse him? They're gonna look at that. You know what I'm saying? It's the whole person concept here. The whole person concept. You know, I get some young people who will come into the comments and be like, man, you know, they say some real ignorant stuff. I block them, I delete them. But there's a difference of listen to someone who's 20 years old and watching what Devin Haney is doing and seeing how they think that shit is cool, and then come dealing with a guy like me who's be 48 this week, and I'm watching that, and I'm like, okay, he's got a lot of potential. There's something we can work with here, but we don't need to overhaul him, but we definitely need to make some refinements. You see, Adrian Broner needs to be overhauled. That's an extreme case of someone with potential, but just won't go anywhere because they just won't listen. There's hope for Devin Haney. There's hope for Devin Haney, but he still needs some refinements. But when I see his dad, and remember, I'm 48 watching this. Me and his dad not too many years apart. And I'm watching his dad out here talking the same way and cussing and N-word and all this. And I'm saying, man, that's just not good. Because to me, Devin Haney, as young as he is, to be an undisputed champion, Devin Haney should be a damn gazillionaire. Devin Haney should be everything Floyd Mayweather didn't do. And what you say, CJ, is very important. You think he's trying to become a bad guy? You know how there was Pretty Boy Floyd, then Money Mayweather? What you're saying is a very good point talking about Floyd Mayweather. Because Floyd Mayweather made a decision to be the bad guy. I don't think Devin Haney's making a decision to be the bad guy. But what's happening here is Floyd Mayweather didn't care about endorsements. He didn't care. I think Devin Haney cares about that. But Floyd Mayweather, I never heard Floyd Mayweather once say anything racial. I know that stuff he said about Pacquiao and eating dog, that was crazy, but I never heard Floyd Mayweather in front of a camera using the N-word and stuff like that. Never, not once. And you can go right there to Twitter and pull it up, and every other day, Devin Haney's on there talking like that. And the reason I'm talking about it is, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Nobody's perfect. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it's like for me, I'm getting ready to go out here and maybe start working again. When I retired 4 years ago, I stayed home to take care of my youngest. He was a baby. He's going to be 6 this year. But now I've got a lot of opportunities to go out here and start working again. So I may do that. But I have this boxing channel. You watch my boxing channel. You don't hear any of that craziness on here. That's not my style. But I'm mindful of the way that I talk when I'm doing these videos, because if I'm going to go back out here and start working again or doing anything around people, I don't want for someone, because you know how people are. They start snooping. They find out you got a little boxing channel. People want to go out there and get on it. You got a Facebook page. They want to go on it. I don't need someone to come out here and looking on there and hearing me talking that crazy. And now that affects me in the workplace, and I have no idea that a co-worker or somebody has saw me on here talking and acting like a fool. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, JD, you're absolutely correct. Floyd was very clever. He didn't want to. That's why Floyd never got caught up in that racial talk. He never got caught up in that. And he was smart. And I think deep down, Floyd, let me tell you something. If we want to sit here and look at and dislike people based on economic status, race, religion, political affiliation, we could easily do that. They got cockle holes and across every one of those demographics, those categories. You know what I'm saying? We could easily do that. But you got that much time on your hands, man, to be taking on everybody you come across that does something that get under your skin. But when it comes to Devin Haney, I don't think I don't know if he doesn't care. I think he does care. I listen to him talk because he feels like he doesn't get the credit he deserved and he should have a much bigger platform. You gotta make some changes within, man. And I truly believe that. Skull Season says, I'm using that card analogy. I dig that. Communication, attitude, responsibility, and discipline. Yeah, man, that's what, man, let me tell you, after 25 years, that's just what I came up with. I was sitting back talking to my sons. I think it was last year. Last year I was talking to them. And when I was talking to them, that just came out my mouth. And I was like, those are the things that I push in those guys. Because I tell them about the stuff I saw, man. I'm like, let me tell you, man, that when people question your intelligence, when you're not a really good speaker, and not everybody is, but if you're not a really good, a writer, but some people are either strong at public speaking or strong at, writing, you know what I'm saying? But when you have those two things, when you're good at writing and speaking, that does a lot for you. And then attitude, let me tell you something. You may not be the most effective person at what you're doing, but if you have the best attitude, you'll see how far that attitude takes you. It takes you a long way. But you may be the most effective at getting things done. But if your attitude sucks, you're not going to go far. And then just being, responsible. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying? You just got to be responsible, man, and do the things that need to be done and do it right the first time. And having discipline, and I would have described it differently. I need a patent for that. But I'm going to just describe discipline as the way Mike Tyson said it, is doing something you don't want to do like you love it. And that's the truth. That's the truth, man. In the military, they say discipline is doing what you're told. Nah, it's doing something you don't want to do like you love it. I remember working out there in the aircraft hangars, and pigeons used to get up there in the top and shit all over all over the floor. And we'd come in there. You imagine first thing in the morning, right? You come into work first thing in the morning. You showered up, you got your nice cologne on, you smelling good, you're in a uniform, and you walk into this big ass aircraft hangar, and someone's like, give you a bucket and a brush, like, hey, go fill that up. You guys are on pigeon poop patrol. It's like, what the hell is pigeon poop patrol? And they take the junior ranking members and have them go out there and scrub pigeon shit off the hangar floor. Now that shit is, I laugh about it now. But hey, what's going on, Luna? I laugh about it now, man, but at the time, that was not fun, I tell you that. Now, that's where you need to have some damn discipline, man. It was horrible. So yeah, Luna, man, we've been on here for, how long have we been on here? About going on 2 hours, man, but talking about Ryan Garcia, talking about Devin Haney, talking about Rolly Romero, and how that's the big money fight, him and Ryan Garcia. But also that don't be surprised because Rolly Romero has 120 days to fight O'Hara Davis. Skull Season, yeah. Y'all like that story? That's a true story, man. I'm not joking. That shit that happens to this day. You know what I'm saying? Horrible feeling. I remember, man. This was like back. I was like, man, 19 years old. It's like 1996, something like that. And back then, it was that cool water cologne. You know what I'm saying? And jupe, cool water and jupe. Shit, I come to work, man, with that damn cool water and jupe on. Thought I was doing something, man. They had me out there with that bucket and that brush scrubbing that pigeon shit, man. I used to go crazy. Smelling all good, but out there scrubbing pigeon shit, man. It was horrible. But, and that's a true story. I ain't lying, man. But it is what it is. But yeah, Luna, man, don't be surprised if O'Hara Davis' team starts talking up, man. Honorable though, man. Discipline indeed. Much respect, yeah. But Luna, you got anything you want to talk about? Anything else y'all want to talk about on here, man? We kind of got off a little bit, but it ties into what we were talking about with Devin Haney. And just gotta have, just gotta play his cards right, man. Since we're talking about that, this is kind of getting off subject, but still on boxing, not Devin Haney, Lomachenko, and Rolly and Ryan. Those damn Charlo twins, those guys is another example of two fighters who should be gazillionaires. You know what I'm saying? Twins, good-looking guys, extremely talented boxers, but for some reason, I don't know if it's by choice or what it is. I don't know if their contracts prevent these guys from going out here and getting sponsorship deals. But I'm talking about a promoter's dream, a manager's dream as far as this marketing ability, but they kind of shoot themselves in the foot with the attitude. You know what I'm saying? Two twins. One thing to be brothers in the sport, but to be twins and doing what they've done, it's crazy to me that they don't have a much bigger platform and profile. But is there anything else y'all want to talk about, man? Luna, you just jumped on. Is there anything you want to talk about? We can talk about anything, man. We talked about a whole lot today. But the biggest, what we just ended up on was Devin Haney and Lomachenko. And a lot of us are feeling, oh yeah. A lot of us are feeling that that Lomachenko, he deserves more credit than what he's getting because we feel Devin Haney's never faced anything like Lomachenko, man. Luna says, my gosh, that Rolly stoppage was crazy. You think Luis Ortiz's uncle had a chance to beat Rolly? I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to say. Man, because the first six rounds, man, the old Barroso, man, Luis Ortiz's uncle, he was winning. But I think Rolly would have ended up catching up to him because he was starting to touch him. But if Rolly would have let his hands go earlier, he would have touched him. But he said Barroso hits hard. He said he said everything that man, even when he grazed him, he said it felt like somebody was hitting him with stones. You know what I'm saying? He said he just didn't want to mess with. He didn't want to take a chance on getting clipped by Barroso. But I think Barroso, if he could have made it to the finish line, he would have won that fight. But he was starting to get touched. So I think Rolly would have knocked him out at some point because Rolly looked to have the better stamina. And this is one of those cases where the younger guy had a better engine than the older guy. But on the front end, man, that fight was all Barroso on the front end, man. All Barroso. Skull Season says, bro, I accidentally dropped my Cool Water cologne bottle in the art class, junior high school. It shattered and cleared the whole classroom of how strong it was. Hell yeah, that sounds like Axe body spray. That juke is today's Axe body spray. I like that Axe body spray too. People be clowning me about that, but man, Axe body spray smells goddamn good. I like Axe body spray. CJ says, well, it's because they fight one time a year. Well, that's true. They're not fighting as often as they should. But there was a time where they were really active, especially when they were first coming up. They were always fighting. But just from there to now, you figure by this point, man, there'd be, you figure there'd be more would have happened for those guys outside of boxing. You know what I mean? To where they almost don't need boxing. Like you look at Ryan Garcia and what he's done on social media, and I get it, different times, but if those guys really had the time and the interest in social media like Ryan Garcia and some of these other guys, those guys, man, they could do very, very well outside of the sport of boxing. JD says, twins so talented, good-looking cats can talk too, but terrible attitude, you're right. They should have tens. Yeah, they should have tens. Yeah, absolutely. They should have tens of millions of dollars, man. Them guys should be gazillionaires. Just off the fact that they're twins with those championships. And they're, good-looking guys. They're in shape. It's from fitness to just talking about the uniqueness of being twins. Anything they talk about, it'll be interesting. People will listen to them. How, they got one they consider the big brother, one the little brother, although they only like goddamn 50 seconds apart or something. But all of that's interesting to people, man. But I think they could really grow a huge platform. But, they got to want to do it. You know what I'm saying? But I agree. Skull Season says I agree. Loma, I think, is being very quiet because he might pull out all the stops come fight night. It's going to be an interesting dance between the two. Yeah, Lomachenko's not playing around. Lomachenko's not playing around with this fight. I just can't wait to see it. I just can't wait to see it, man. It's going to be a good fight. Luna says, I don't want to say Loma overrated, but when Bob Arum say he better than those all-time greats, that for sure makes him sound overrated. Yeah, Bob Arum is, we know he'll say anything, but Luna, what we talked about on here, and I think you may have been on a live where we talked about this before. I'm thinking when the promoter comes out and says, hey, you'd be stupid to bet on Devin Haney, all my money would be on Lomachenko, that tells me the direction this fight's going. You know what I'm saying? And that to me is complete madness to know that, the promoter has come out and said that. But yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. Bob Arum says some outlandish stuff. Maybe if he would have kind of been more specific in his statement, talking about Loma being better than the all-time greats, maybe in footwork, because that footwork he has is impeccable. Then I think people could accept that. But when you just make a big, broad brush statement like that, that's going to catch people's attention, and they're not going to be okay with that. That's not okay. It's crazy. JD says, Maul hasn't fought in over 2 years. I know he's going through with a poisonous wife, but the division is open now to take over. Yeah, it is, man. Jamal Charlo at 160, man. And I feel bad for him because that stuff that's going on with him and his wife, or his ex-wife or whatever she is, man, that's messed him up. So this is what you got right here. In his division, nobody wants to fight Alan Canuli. Golovkin, Munguia tried to fight Golovkin and cherry pick him because Golovkin's old. Golovkin needs to just retire. He's not getting no more $15 million, $20 million paydays. Adames is trying to fight Jamal, but Jamal has issues going on. Liam Smith and Eubank Jr. about to fight again, which I think Liam Smith will beat Eubank Jr. because he knows he can knock him out without the elbow. I don't know much about this Cash guy. Lara's about to fight Danny Garcia. Then Derevinchenko is about to fight Munguia. So when it comes to Jamal Charlo, you see his name right here for that WBC. He's got to figure it out, but I don't know what he's going to do. I really don't, because he's gonna at some point gonna have to fight Adames, and Adames is not one of those fighters you just want to jump in the ring with. You know what I'm saying? You just don't want to jump in the ring with Adames if you haven't been fighting. Not at all. Adames is a mean Dominican fighter who can fight, and he can crack. And I think Jamal, if he's not there mentally, he can find himself in a lot of trouble, man. A lot of trouble. Let me see what it says. Loma is the guy who beats everyone. Okay, CJ says Loma is the guy in a bar who beats everyone up without saying a word and sits back down to finish his drink. Absolutely. And he may even come over and, and offer you a drink after and apologize, and tell you how he doesn't like violence, but you left him no other choice. Skull C like James Bond. Hell yeah, absolutely. Skull C says possible. I'm curious on this fight. I think it's going to be a unique occasion. Me too. Luna says, you think Charlo come back and fight Munguia? You know what? I'm going to be honest with you, Luna, man. I think at this point in time, I think Charlo come back. And actually, I think he may end up coming back and fighting Andrade. You see, Demetrius Andrade, this is 168. Make this a little bit bigger for you, right? Look at where Demetrius Andrade is ranked at 168. For the WBO, he's ranked number 1. For the WBC, he's ranked number 5. And he's ranked number 1 for the WBA. I could see Jamal fighting Andrade because nobody's going to fight Andrade. Andrade will never get a shot at Benavidez, Morel, Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to fight him. And Andre's sure as hell not going to be fighting Plant. Plant may fight him, but Andre is just in a bad space. You know what I'm saying? So, but for Jamel Charlo, I think Andre, man, because they both, They both need a dancing partner. You know what I'm saying? But here at 160 pounds, Charlo could come back to fight Munguia. I think he wants that fight. I don't think De La Hoya wants Munguia to fight Charlo. I don't think De La Hoya wants Munguia to fight Charlo. I'm being honest with you. I think De La Hoya is trying to be very careful with what happens with Munguia. You know what I'm saying? Munguia, look at where Munguia is. This is something that I look at this shit all the time. Munguia is ranked number 3 for the WBO. Okay, he turned down to fight Alam Kanuli. He did not want to fight him, which I think is just complete madness. But then you look where Jaime Munguia is for the WBC. He's ranked number 2. You know what I'm saying? So Munguia, between the WBC and the WBO, he was trying to fight Golovkin, and Golovkin not trying to hear that. But Munguia doesn't want to fight Alam Kanuli, and he doesn't want to fight Adamus. And Jamal Charlo, this would be the opportunity to fight Jamal. Like, this is the time to fight him because of everything that's going on with him right now. You know what I'm saying? I actually think Jamal Charlo may get the Canelo fight before these other guys, because Canelo, it is what it is. He's a great fighter, but he'd do a little cherry picking. I think Jamal Charlo right now will be a cherry pick. And I say that because he's not there 100% mentally, spiritually, you know what I'm saying, emotionally. And if Canelo was to say, I want Jamal Charlo, Charlo's not going to turn that fight down. He's going to try to get through a training camp and get in that ring, and you may see Canelo, who I think is on the decline. But if he catches Jamal in this current state, Canelo may tranquilize him. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest with you. But it could be a cherry pick gone bad, like when Canelo went and fought Bivol. And that just didn't go the way Canelo had planned at all. So as far as Munguia, I think De La Hoya going to be careful, about putting Munguia in there with Charlo. But like you're saying right here, JD man says, Andre's an interesting fight for Munguia. Might be easier fight for Charlo. Andre is so awkward. Yeah, Andre is his style of fighting is crazy. But Andre's got some pop too, man. He's showing early in them fights he can hurt a fighter. But I just don't know, man. I think Munguia has a good chance against Andre. I think Munguia and Andre will be Barrera versus the Prince Nassim Hamed. That's what I think. I think I may have to drop the mic on that one. Munguia against Andre would probably go like Barrera against Prince Nassim Hamed. You got this awkward, weird. I don't know. I think Prince Hamed was left-handed, wasn't he? Or maybe he was right-handed. I can't remember if he was right-handed or left-handed. But that leg spread across, around on the ring, really wide stance. Balance ain't the best. Throwing that damn left hand from all kind of weird angles, and then trying to throw just different type of punches, man. That's what it reminded me of. And I think Barrera will just remain tight and disciplined and let his hands go. So yeah, I think that's a tough fight, but I don't know. Munguia may have a better chance with Andre than with Charlo, in my opinion. Luna says, is Fury still fighting this summer? Yeah, he's fighting. He's just trying to find an opponent. Fury shot himself. Oh, okay, Nassim, he was a southpaw. I thought so, man. But Fury shot himself in the foot. But the problem with Fury is he's greedy. He's no kidding. He is a damn greedy belly, man. He's greedy, man. Fury wants all the money, man. You can't. So he was going to fight Zhang. Maybe he and Zhang could have worked out a better deal. But Joe Joyce messed that up, which I think is corny. Joe Joyce wants to fight Zhang again. He activated a rematch. I think Zhang beats him. So that kind of pissed me off as a boxing fan, because I wanted to see Zhang and Fury. So now Fury and Andy Ruiz. It's like, okay, cool. I'll watch that fight. They're both supposed to be brothers in Christianity. I said, okay, Tyson Fury's going to hook up his partner. Same way he hooked up Chisora, give him a few million, and it is what it is. But I read an article Frank Warren said that Andy Ruiz was asking for like 10 to 15 million, 13 million to fight Tyson Fury. And I think he wanted some of the pay-per-view revenues. Now Tyson Fury's not going to give anybody that kind of money. Tyson Fury knows he's the A side. He knows he's the draw. Fighting out there in the UK, everyone's coming to the fight to see Tyson Fury. You get a flat rate from Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? Tyson Fury's just going to give you your little 3-4 times. Maybe he would have given him $5 million, you know, because Andy Ruiz isn't Derek Chisora. But Andy Ruiz shot himself in the foot. So now he's lost out on an opportunity to fight for the WBC title. And now he's inactive because none of them heavyweights have any fights going on over there in PBC. So Tyson Fury did the damn press conference with no fighter. And he's frustrated. Tyson Fury said, and I blame Tyson Fury too, because you can't just suck out these guys' eyeballs. You know what I mean? I mean, just because you can get away with it, that doesn't mean it's right. You know what I mean? You making 30, 35 million to fight? You only want to give these guys 2-3 million? Man, come on now. That's extreme. Give them this 10 million, give them 7 million. But don't anything above that. If they're asking for more than that, then they're stupid. You know what? You don't want to go fight for 5 million or 7 million. Sit there and do nothing. Fight somebody for 800,000. So Tyson Fury knows the game, but I'm sure they're gonna name an opponent for Tyson Fury here pretty soon. Matter of fact, let me show you. Let's see what Tyson Fury could really face, because this is where Tyson Fury's at right now. When you look at Tyson Fury, he can't face Usyk, right? Because Tyson Fury and Usyk is supposed to be fighting the end of this year. He can't face Wilder, because Wilder and Joshua are supposed to be fighting the end of this year. All these guys here, Usyk, Fury, Wilder, and Joshua, are trying to line up an interim fight. Zhang is now fighting Joyce, right? Andy Ruiz was the only really available top 5 guy. And he stupidly missed his opportunity. He ain't fighting Dillian White. Tyson Fury's not fighting Dillian White. He already beat him. Can't fight Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce is fighting Zhang. Now you got the Cuban Cadillac with 400,000 miles on it, Luis Ortiz. That may be the fight that gets made for Tyson Fury. Parker has a fight going on, and Hrgovic is just sitting there waiting to fight somebody. Skull Season says the Saudi princes are allegedly working on it. Yeah, they got that's going to happen, but he's looking for an interim fight right now. Skull Season says allegedly December be Fury, Usyk, and the same called Wilder, Joshua. Yeah, no, what you're saying, Skull Season, that's going to happen. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to work out interim fights right now. Wilder and AJ may take an interim fight too. But there were discussion with a Saudi prince. He doesn't want anyone to get hurt because of the type of extravaganza they're going to put on in December. But for Tyson Fury, he wants to get a fight just to kind of knock the rust off. But when you look at what you have here, none of these guys are available for Tyson Fury. Parker's already committed to fight somebody. Hrgovic is out here in a holding pattern trying to get his shot at Usyk. It's real unfortunate. The only viable option is Ortiz. And I'm going to tell you right now, Luis Ortiz, he'll take $3 million. Remember, Luis Ortiz is the one that missed out on that $5, $6, $7 million to fight AJ. Right? He missed his team dropped the ball. Opportunity to fight for the unified titles. And his stupid team got greedy and he missed the opportunity. So if an opportunity comes around for him to fight for that WBC strap, he'll take $3-4 million. Ortiz isn't going to complain. He'll take that $3-4 million. But let's say Ortiz, for some reason, isn't a front runner. But then you got to look down here, man. What under the WBC, what does Tyson Fury have? Wilder, Ruiz, Anthony Joshua. Frank Sanchez? Could y'all imagine Frank Sanchez against Tyson Fury? That's a good scrap. You know, Arslanbek Makhmudov? Yeah, that joker is like 6'6". He's kind of robotic, but he's got skills and he's extremely powerful. Tyson Fury could. Yeah, Tyson Fury could fight Makhmudov. Frank Sanchez or Makhmudov. If you look at what's going on under this WBC column, Frank Sanchez is number 4, Makhmudov is number 5. Dillian White, he already tranquilized. He's number 6. Then you got, Alunga is 7. Number 8 is Kozabutsky. Kozabutsky is going to be fighting Jared Anderson. So he's not available. Tyson Fury already fought Otto Wallen. Joseph Parker is his good friend. But Parker's committed to fight somebody. But when you go down the list, and then you get down here, Ortiz is at the bottom again. F.A. Agjaba. So, wow. So Tyson Fury is in one of those positions, man, where he's almost fought every damn body. It's crazy. All of those names. And Tyson Fury fought a lot of them already, and then the other ones already committed to doing something else. So Tyson Fury is in a bad space, but I wouldn't be surprised if the old Cuban Cadillac with 400,000 miles, Luis Ortiz gets the fight, or somehow Frank Sanchez can wiggle his way into that fight. But outside of that, I mean, unless the WBC lets him fight somebody from another sanctioning body, but I don't know. That's kind of how I see it going, man. But that card they got going on out there in Saudi Arabia, man, that card's going to be crazy. That's going to be a very, very interesting card, the event. I can't wait to see it, man. Derek Chisora talks about it a lot. It's supposed to be something like what we've never seen, man. And I'm looking forward to see what they come up with. That being said, is there anything else y'all want to talk about before I get off of here, man? I'm going to get ready and go to the gym and work out. Anything else y'all want to talk about? I still got like 10 minutes, man. We could talk about anything else before I jump off of here. We've been out here for about going on 2 hours and 10 minutes. So anything else y'all want to talk about, just throw it out there. Then I'm gonna wrap up here in a few minutes. Adari Pennant, the heavyweight division is deep with a lot of talent. It's a lot of killers out there, man. I tell you what, when it comes to this heavyweight division, this is the guy here who I'm paying attention to. Let me see if this pulls up. I'm gonna show you who I'm paying attention to, man. This guy right here. While it pulls it up, hold on a second. Show you who this guy is. Let me go up. This guy right here, Arslanbek Makhmudov. This guy's no joke, man. He can fight. He really can. He can fight. But that's who I'm paying attention to see what he's going to do with Jared Anderson, which I think is a very close fight. But if he beats Jared Anderson, might as well get familiar with the name Makhmudov, because Makhmudov is a guy who's going to be the next big thing as far as the heavyweight division. He's going to be the next big thing, man. I'm telling you, it's coming. All right, what do you say here? Let me scroll this up a little bit. It says, all right, Skull Season. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us, Skull Season. Make sure you get back on the next live, man. I appreciate it talking with you, man, and appreciate all your inputs. You keep safe and eat something good today, man. Adari Pennant. Oh, Luna says, do I see Zhang beating Joe Joyce up in a rematch? I do, man. I think so. Joe Joyce, I think he's going to be a bit gun shy. He knows that Zhang hits hard. He knows that Zhang has that has that style that's going to create, I think he's going to create a lot of problems for, let me close this out. I think that's going to, what is this? There we go. I think that's going to create a lot of problems for Joe Joyce again. And I really think Joe Joyce may get knocked out. I think he may get knocked out this time. He didn't show me that he can get out the way of that left hand. And even if he comes out in the beginning of the fight really thinking a lot about it, I think he's going to find himself preoccupied so much with that left hand that now Zhang catches him with a right hook. You know what I'm saying? I just think for Joe Joyce, sometimes they just got bad style matchups. You know what I mean? It's like Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao. Stylistically, for Pacquiao, Marquez was a nightmare and would always be a nightmare for him. And Zhang and Joyce, I think, it's one of those things where for Joyce, I think that would always be a nightmare for him. You know, it says, who wins, Jared Anderson and Frank Sanchez? I think Frank Sanchez beats Jared Anderson. But Jared Anderson is strong and explosive, man. And if he jumps on Frank Sanchez, Jared Anderson has a good chance of winning. But if he tries to sit back and let Frank Sanchez get comfortable with that lateral movement in boxing and then exploding with that right hand, Jared Anderson can find himself on the canvas. He can find himself getting stopped. But that's a good fight. Luna says, Jared Anderson versus Luis Ortiz, the 400,000-mile Cadillac. I think Anderson knocks Ortiz out. I think so. I think he knocks him out. But Ortiz will probably have some good moments. But Ortiz he's been going down early in fights, you know what I'm saying? And Andrew Ruiz hurt him bad early in the fight. When he fought Charles Martin, he was going down. And shit, young, explosive Jared Anderson, if he catches him cold, oh my gosh, man. That may not end well for Luis Ortiz. So yeah, that's a good question, man. But I think Anderson beats Luis Ortiz. I would say kind of easy. And it's unfortunate because Luis Ortiz, he got the fights with Deontay Wilder. But there's so much more I think he could have given to the sport of boxing, man. But it is what it is. He made some millions. Family seemed to be okay. His daughter seems to be, doing okay. But he should have made more money, especially earlier in his career, but he just wasn't getting the opportunities. But that's how I see those fights going, man. But that being said, I'm going to jump off of here, man. Going on 2 hours and 12 minutes now. I got to go hit this gym before the kids come home. But I want to tell y'all thank you, man. Anybody who donated, just for you coming on this channel and having a conversation with me, man. I appreciate it. It's therapeutic for me. And I appreciate all your inputs, man. Y'all keep cool and take care. Make sure y'all have a good day. Eat something good. And you know what I'm in. Oh, wait, before I jump off. Luna says, how good was Lennox Lewis back in the day? Was he great? What you got with Lennox Lewis, after I answer this, I'm going to jump off, right? Lennox Lewis, you look at him. Yeah, JD, you're welcome, man. You look at Lennox Lewis before he hooked it with Emmanuel Stewart. He was a great boxer, but he was fighting more the traditional style, jab, right hand. He was looking for the knockout, kind of forcing the knockout at times. When he got together with Emmanuel Stewart, Lennox Lewis developed discipline and awareness. He learned how to set up his shots. He learned how to fight tall. He learned how to use those long arms. Matter of fact, Lennox Lewis wouldn't even bring his jab all the way back. He was even trying to teach Deontay Wilder that, how to just bring your jab back halfway. That way it has to travel a shorter distance to get to the target. But once he hooked up with Emmanuel Stewart, it was hard for someone to beat someone like Lennox Lewis. And that's why with Tyson Fury, when you watch him, people forget Tyson Fury spent a lot of time down in that Kronk gym. So he knows how to fight. But Lennox Lewis, he was great, man. He was. And when he was fighting Vitaly Klitschko was giving him the business early, but Lewis started coming back and was catching him. I think Lewis was going to go on to beat Klitschko anyway. I mean, he did bust his eye open, but I think he would have ended up, I don't know if he would have stopped him, but it looked like it was going that way because he was catching Vitaly with some hard shots. But Vitaly Klitschko is an extremely hard man. Extremely hard man. But yeah, I think Lennox Lewis, even in today's day and age, I think he would have done just fine. I think he would have done just fine against all these guys because he was smart. He was a great boxer. He had great ring IQ, but most importantly, he could punch in between his opponent's shots and counter him. And that's just hard to do, especially as a heavyweight. But that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bounce. Y'all keep cool. Appreciate it. Support as always. I'm in the breeze.